So the White House continues to focus on Israel being able to defend themselves. We do want to bring in the Israeli program director for the Nonpartisan Foundation Defense of Democracies, Enia Krivine. Enia, good morning to you. You are in Israel this morning. We want to say that we're happy that you are safe. I understand that you were in a bomb shelter when this happened yesterday. Most of us have never experienced anything like that. Tell me what that was like, what you saw, what you heard, and how people are feeling there this morning.
Thank you. Good morning to you. So yesterday afternoon, we started getting warnings that it sounded as if an Iranian strike was going to happen yesterday. At some point, we didn't have exact timing. There were repeated messaging from both the IDF and the media explaining, stay calm and everyone will be updated. And then just as I was putting my kids to bed in the evening, my husband said, okay, get down here. And we all got into the safe room. In my house, we have a safe room that's constructed onto the house. A lot of the newer builds in Israel have this type of construction. It's actually mandated by the government for anything that's been built after a certain period to protect civilians. But in areas where they have older construction, of course, people were running to communal bomb shelters or into basements or even stairwells of apartment buildings that didn't have those. So I was lucky in this house, we happen to have a safe room, and not many people in Israel weren't that lucky. So luckily, no one was killed. There was one, ironically, a Palestinian in the West Bank was killed from ballistic rocket fire, but no one in Israel was injured. However, while this attack was ongoing, there was a terror attack in Jaffa near Tel Aviv, and sadly, 7 Israelis were killed while all this was happening yesterday. Some Palestinian terrorists from the West Bank just took an opportunistic moment to go in and kill innocent civilians.
Yeah, and you're sorry to hear about that, and thank God for your safety. Iran has said this attack was retaliatory for the escalation from Israel. However, this started after the massacre carried out by Hamas on October 7th. Another reminder to our viewers, there are fears, though, this could turn into an all-out war. And of course, this morning, we're learning that Israel is now sending more troops to Lebanon. What does that move mean?
So, I think it's important to separate between the arenas, right? You have Hamas in Gaza, you have Hezbollah in Lebanon, and then you, of course, have the Iranian regime in Tehran. And they are linked. The Iranian regime funds, trains, and arms all of the proxies that surround, all of the Iranian proxies that surround Israel. But they are different theaters. So the war objectives in Gaza to totally dismantle Hamas and to make sure that Gaza could not be a platform for which to attack Israel in the future, that had specific war goals. And then in Lebanon, they have a totally different war goal. The goal there is just to get civilians who have been displaced from their homes for almost a year now to provide the conditions necessary so that they can feel safe going home. And just, in this huge attack from Iran, there was other news that kind of got overshadowed, which was so important, that in these operations that the IDF has been carrying out in southern Lebanon, they uncovered and now made public that the Hezbollah had an intention to carry out a similar strike, similar to the October 7th attack that Hamas carried out. Hezbollah had plans to do the exact same thing in the northern communities. So it just goes to show there are so many threats. They're all linked. The common denominator is the Islamic Republic of Iran, but they all are separate theaters and they all need a separate strategy.
Yeah. Well, you bringing that out actually really highlights that Israel is taking on incoming targets and attacks from so many different areas and from so many different angles. Israel, though, has been able to demonstrate their superiority militarily when it comes to precision and taking out a terrorist leader literally in his home. That sent a message. And then intelligence-wise, in targeting terrorists with exploding pagers and other items that, frankly, we have not seen that level of warfare. What do you make of Iran's statement saying that if Israel responds militarily to this, what we're watching on our screen, an even harsher attack could come? How does that change things?
Well, you're right. The past 2 weeks have seen an absolute stunning reversal in this war. 2 weeks ago, Israel updated its war goals to include the northern arena, something it hadn't done for the first 11 months of this war. And it finally included the northern arena. And then you saw this very rapid series of events for decapitating the head of Hezbollah through these pagers and walkie-talkie explosions, the destruction of the bunker where all of the leadership was hiding in Beirut. And this is all happening within days. And now you have this direct conflict with Iran. Of course, this is the second round with Iran. The first one was in April. And in April, the U.S. language was very different than it is today. In April, the U.S. came out immediately after Iran sent 300 rockets, drones, and missiles towards the Jewish state. The U.S. said, and they were all deflected, the U.S. said, take the win. That was Biden's message. Stand down, take the win, don't escalate. This time, the tune is different. And, we're at a different phase in the war. The revelations about Hezbollah's intentions have now been revealed and shared with the U.S. We know that they were planning to do a similar attack for October 7th. And also, Iran has been acting belligerently, continuing to support these proxies, continuing to oppose U.S. efforts. And now, as you've seen, the rhetoric has just reached fever pitch with Israel saying that they will respond, and Iran threatening, if there's a response, to take this to a whole nother level.
Well, Enia, I can tell you that there's a lot to watch here. You have given us a lot of insight, and particularly you're helping our viewers know why this is so important to not just people there in Israel as we continue to pray for safety, but also it's important for us here in the United States because we are also in the crosshairs, particularly of Iran. So, Enia, thank you so much for joining us. Continued prayers for safety of everyone in that region.